Kusu Sampola, for the month of October, I have carried out a study to assess the effectiveness of the postgraduate Diploma in Public Administration course, the PGDPA course that is offered at the Royal Institute of Management, and I have carried out my study exclusively based on the perceptions of the PGDPA graduates who are currently working with the Center for Bhutan Studies and GNH Research. Oh, I nearly forgot to introduce myself. I am Tsheyang Choden, and prior to joining the CBS, I worked with the Policy and Planning Division of the Ministry of Economic Affairs. To begin with, I have the outline of my video presentation. Firstly, I have the introduction, and the introductory segment essentially presents the synopsis of the entire study that I've done. It includes components such as the background information, purpose of the study, research objectives and questions, and the problem statement. In the second part, I have my literature review, followed by my research design component that has information on the kind of methodology I've used for my study, the sampling technique used, data collection methods, data analysis, and some of the limitations of my study. After that, I have my findings and analysis part. And then lastly, I've proposed some recommendations based on my findings. To narrate a brief background as to why I have carried out this particular study, the Royal Institute of Management was established back in 1986 with the mandate to impart, promote, and improve professional knowledge and skills in the domains of management and public administration. Since its inception, the Institute has provided post-graduation courses to numerous candidates who meritoriously got selected through the Bhutan's civil service examinations prior to joining the civil service. However, the existing point of contention is it is skeptical to decide if the course is relevant in terms of providing work-relevant skills to the trainees and to decide if the trainees or the students are academically satisfied with their post-graduation program. In continuation to what I've presented earlier, the purpose of my study is to obtain the perceptions of the PGDPA graduates, specifically those who currently work with the CBS regarding the post-graduation program, and assess and see how satisfied they are. Then subsequently propose some recommendations for enhancement of the PGDPA course in terms of quality and effectiveness. Next, what are the objectives of my study? The objectives are, firstly, to carry out an assessment of the effectiveness of the PGDPA course in context of the postgraduate work plans and requirements. Secondly, to evaluate if the PGDPA graduates are academically satisfied with the course or not, and then to suggest and provide recommendations that would be helpful in bringing out the necessary improvements to align the course with the postgraduate work plans and requirements based on the suggestions the respondents provide. Coming to the problem statement, currently there is no proper evaluation tool in place to assess the effectiveness of educational programs. Then, there are no statistical evidence and tracking data available to guide training institutes such as the RIM to relook into the several courses they offer for greater satisfaction of the trainees and to produce productive results. With regard to the literature review, I extracted all the relevant information from online sources. Firstly, I Googled to find out what an effective educational program actually means. Searched how perceptions of graduates or trainees are formed about a particular educational program or training. Found out how a student's academic satisfaction is defined. Then I explored some of the relevant theories that explain a student's academic satisfaction. And then finally, I Googled to find out what are some of the statistically important parameters that influence the level of satisfaction a student or graduate possess about a particular educational program. Based on my literature searches, I have identified the overall satisfaction level as the dependent variable and identified 10 important independent variables that actually influence or affect the overall satisfaction level a graduate or trainee possess regarding their educational program. The independent variables are, firstly, conducive environment. The environment has to be friendly for both curricular and co-curricular purposes. The curriculum has to be relevant to provide work-related skills. Third, quality and method of instruction or teaching has to be precise and clear. There has to be adequate opportunities provided to the trainees for classroom participation. Tutors need to show genuine interest in the needs of the trainees and provide timely supervision. There has to be adequate opportunities for problem-based learning and mind mapping. There has to be adequate reading materials to enforce self-learning. The internet connection has to be undisturbed and secured. There has to be many activities to boost communication and team building skills. Lastly, the services rendered by support staff are also very important to determine the quality of an educational program. Research design. Firstly, research methodology and sampling technique. The study is essentially a descriptive study, and I've used the mixed method approach that included the collection and analysis of both quantitative, close-ended, and qualitative, open-ended data and information. The sampling method used was the convenience sampling technique. About data collection and analysis, all the secondary data I have obtained from online literature searches, and for primary data, I have developed a survey questionnaire and administered the questionnaire to all the graduates who completed PGDPA and who are currently working with the CPS. For analysis of the data collected, I have used Microsoft Excel and the SPSS software. Some of the limitations of my study are the conclusions drawn from my study. They cannot be generalized and they cannot represent the exhaustive perceptions and views of all the RM PGDPA graduates. And although the entire size of my target respondents is small, quite a significant number of people did not respond to my survey questionnaire, which perhaps will have a considerable impact on my findings and results. Analysis and findings of my research. Firstly, I'll begin with the respondent's profile. A total of 30 people responded to the survey questionnaire I emailed to them. Out of the 30 respondents, 14 are female and 16 male, and all the respondents are PGDPA graduates who completed the PGDPA course prior to joining the civil service. The respondents, when categorized in terms of their year of post-graduation, majority of the respondents completed their post-graduation in the year 2014, and there was only one respondent who completed his or her post-graduation in the year 2016. In my survey questionnaire, I have framed 10 statements, all related to the independent variables that affect the overall satisfaction level, and requested the respondents to rate those statements on a 5-point Likert scale, with 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree. Here is a graphic representation of the result that I've obtained. I've calculated the mean scores for all the independent variables or the statements that I have framed, and the mean scores range from 2.67 to 3.8. Based on the aggregate mean scores calculated for all the variables, I have identified the 2 areas as low-ranked areas based on the responses collected through the survey questionnaire. The respondents feel that the curriculum is not so relevant and it does not provide work-related skills, and they are also not very satisfied with the services rendered to them by the support staff at the RIM. Similarly, using the aggregate mean scores, I have identified the areas of high ranking. The respondents feel that RM provides friendly environment for both academic and non-academic purposes and feels that there are adequate opportunities for classroom participation, to indulge in constructive debate, and to indulge in group discussions. In my survey questionnaire, I've also requested the respondents to rate their overall satisfaction level regarding the PGDPA program on a 5-point Likert scale, with 1 being very dissatisfied and 5 being very satisfied. Out of the 30 respondents, 16 respondents rated their satisfaction level at number 2, meaning they are not satisfied or they are dissatisfied with the PGDPA program. In the final part of my survey questionnaire, I've included an open-ended question that requested the respondents to give their recommendations or feedback for improvement of the PGDPA program in terms of quality and effectiveness. I've received numerous suggestions, and all the suggestions that I've received, I've summarized them under 6 broad themes. Majority of the respondents recommended curricular revision for improvement of the course, and there were also suggestions such as extension of the duration of the course, and some also referred to the Indian Administration Service, Indian Foreign Service as international standards, and to restructure our program based on such international standards and best practices. Based on my research findings, I would like to propose the following recommendations. Firstly, the service rendered by support staff, it is very important to enhance the quality of any educational program. Therefore, the RM has to also focus on enhancing the support staff services. Then the focus has to be in practical experiences to impart work-relevant skills, curricular revision. Then problem-based learning and mind mapping are some of the recommended or preferred learning styles. Then there has to be a system in place so that we have tracking data and evidence in place to evaluate the effectiveness of educational programs such as the RIM post-graduation courses. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.